Hi, I'm Lauren Zander, and this is Marnie Nir, and this is our first Facebook Live together, and we are dealing with love and sex and just relationships. And you sent in questions. We have 5 great questions. If you want to write in a question and we have time for it, please do, or we'll use it for our next Facebook Live. So, let's go.
All right, cool. And so, I read the questions, but Lauren hasn't heard them at all. So, we kind of wanted to see and let her do her thing and just wing it. So, be prepared. All right, ready? First question, Lauren.
Okay.
It's a dating question.
Okay.
My question is on whether or not to ask a guy out. There's coaching on how to get a guy to chase you or how to say screw it and chase them. There has to be a happy medium, right? What should someone do if they're into a guy and want them to know while still saving face if they don't take the bait?
I love the truth. And then I even love like a funny way of answering, like, I would go out with you if you ever asked me, right? Like, just so you know. And then you look at his face and then you know everything from that, like, oh, right? But it's okay. It's a compliment. So then you would flip it very quickly if he looks like he's a no. And you would go, it's just a compliment. I just wanted you to know you're a great guy. And I thought that. And then it's over, right? So my recommendation is that's how I would ask a guy out. I would let him know you really are interested and even pose the question for him to pose it to you.
Smart. It's good.
It's kind of a bait and switch.
It's good.
Yes.
Right? And I also think, if you think it's chasing, right, and not just flirting, right, I think chasing is an issue if you think.
Yeah, and I also think it's really okay to go, hey, you want to get a coffee, right? You want to go hang out and get a coffee. He doesn't know you're interested in him if you ask him for a coffee. It's actually a friendly thing to do. You would do that if it was a friend. And so then as you're on a not date, you can see if there's more of a spark going on, and then you can ask personal questions. Are you dating anyone? What's going on in your life? I don't really know you that way. So you really are allowed to go there, and I certainly always did, and never followed any rules about waiting for someone to chase me, ever.
Awesome. All right, cool. Next question. This could be quick. All right, we got a question about sex. I'm all for a woman's right to sleep with whomever she wants, whenever she wants. But that's just not for me. I prefer getting to know someone for a few weeks or even wait until we're in a committed relationship. Nothing religious. I just think it'll help me weed out the guys who just want to hook up. The problem is I don't know how to say anything about that. With the apps making it so easy to hook up with whomever, how do I stay in the game, tell a guy I'm out with that I'm interested, even if I'm not immediately having sex with him, but not sound like a complete psycho clinger?
The most interesting thing about what I just heard in that question is the very thing that she wants to ask and say, or what should I say, because I really... I'm not the girl that's going to sleep with you right away, and what are you really looking for? What's wrong with that? Like, go on the coffee, get to know the person, and if you honestly feel that way, you still, like, after having coffee and some conversation, you actually still feel very attracted to him. You're like, I'm not the girl that's going to hook up with you anytime really soon. What are you looking for? What's your ideal, right? The guy will tell you the truth. He's not going to have his way with you because you're running interference. You're running the whole thing. He doesn't get an apartment. He doesn't get anywhere with you unless you say okay. And he knows that. So keep all your power and ask straight questions and tell him the truth about yourself. And then however he handles it, you'll really know. The truth was already in the question. Just ask exactly what you want to, right? You'd be amazed that men can really straight shoot, and that it's all the game playing that we don't go straight with them. That is the problem here, right? Bring it, girls. Say exactly what you want.
Yeah, and I also think it's the same. If you think that, like psycho clinger, like that's awesome, right? Right? That you think that that saying all that and all that truth makes you a psycho clinger as opposed to just a truth teller and in charge of when you're having sex.
Yeah. You're allowed to do anything you want. We are grown-ups. and you can have any question you want, and you can get turned off in a second, and you can say, oh, I changed my mind. You can say anything you want. And practicing that with anyone is good practice, right? You can't have a problem telling the truth. And if the person wigs out or thinks you're a psycho clinger, that would be no thank you for him.
Right? He's not your person.
Ooh. Right? And the more you tell the truth, the more you can see them squirm or react or even, be honest with you, and it'll turn you on more and more that he can handle your truth, right? In the Handle method, we talk about your PR agent, and a lot of times your PR agent is dating, and your PR agent is only tell the good things, only act perfect. Everything has to be packaged just right. And then one day, I'll show the real me, right? No, ladies. No. The real you should start on the first date so that you can know who the real him is. Okay?
Nice.
Right.
All right.
Come on, girls.
All right, cool.
And a few good men. If you're out there.
2. All right. Navigating your friendships, all right? This is a question about your friends.
Okay.
While you're dating.
Ah.
Okay, and first I'm going to give you the story, and then she gives us a little multiple choice.
Excellent.
I love you guys. All right. I am an oversharer by nature, and whenever I have any issue with a boyfriend, I would talk with friends about it. It was just part of how we catch up, also gossip and girl talk. That said, of course they developed a negative view of him without even meeting him more than 3 or 4 times over the course of over a year and a half of us being serious.
Uh-oh.
He has done nothing to either of the 2 friends, and they have gone to the extent of inviting me to things without him, specifically saying he won't be welcome.
Wow.
This is now causing more tension in my relationship with my boyfriend whenever I bring up seeing my friends for girl time or anything about them.
Yikes.
I am working on myself with regards to oversharing, trying to please everyone and self-confidence in my decisions, but the damage seems done with those 2 friends. How do I continue to make my life with people gel and also try to focus on my relationship? Number 1, she gives us the
If there's only a few answers we can choose.
She gave us 3. All right, so what do you think? Number 1, do I need to have a sit down with each of these 2 friends?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you our other 2.
What else do we have?
I'll give you the other 2 because they're cute.
Yeah.
Number 2, do I need to keep these lives separate? Which I doubt will work.
I agree. No.
And number 3, do I need to tell them all to suck it up and stop being children? Also likely to cause unpleasant reactions.
No, in number 1, you sit down, and so the thing we don't know in the story, everybody should be screaming like, what did she tell them?
What did he do?
Right. And I really want to hear it,
Right.
right? Because I might be, like, I have no idea why her friends are so protective and mad, right? So 1, they're protective and mad and they love you. Right? That's protective and mad and love you. And there's something that you shared that really got them up in arms, right? And dealing with that head on and go, I really need to understand what I said to you, that you don't like him at all, because I now really like him and I want to mend this with you and I don't want to lose you and I want him invited. You just go straight into the conversation, one at a time. And you really find out what they think or why they don't like him and what happened, because you really did set that up. So take full responsibility for setting that up, and then have direct, deep conversations with how is it possible to clean it up, and what did he do, right? And or what did you say that got them so screwed up about him? That's still a lot of love for you, so I wouldn't throw out those friendships. Okay?
Perfect.
And there is nothing worse, and I hear this all the time, that when a relationship ends, the amount of I told you, like, I knew it. I never liked them together, right? Like, I always thought he was like this. Like, the amount that they never said in the first place or weren't really upfront about ends up being a much bigger problem in relationships. And so I like, not that they're so aggressive, and how long you haven't dealt with it, like you've been with him for a year and a half, also sounds like it's way too long. So 1, get to these things sooner, and know they really love you, and the more you know what your friends really think, the more you all can take better care of each other.
Yeah, and you also could go be responsible for also your boyfriend doesn't know how you told your friends that, right? So he just thinks they're jerks, right? But doesn't know you kind of set them up and they're just protecting you. So everyone's kind of in a little bit of a mess. So yeah.
That you designed.
Yes.
Without a lot of consciousness.
Right.
But it's totally clean upable and should never happen again now that you've learned this lesson by having to go back and deal with the ladies.
Yeah. So I don't think the lesson is don't tell your friends anything. It's just be way more responsible for it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think your problem is oversharing. I think your problem is what were you sharing? How did it really get fixed? And why weren't they in the loop the whole time?
Right.
Because they would have loved him too, because if you could forgive them, why couldn't they? So something got messed up in the whole translation. And that's worth fixing too. Nice.
Unexpected. All right, here we go. Another dating question.
Okay.
Do divorced men in their 50s want a steady relationship at all, or just fun and casual sex with no attachments? Answer for all men, Lauren.
All men. All of them.
All 50s.
Okay, so I will give you one thing that I like really have to say that women get. There is one thing you get played on, in my opinion, a lot. Sorry, men. Sorry, world. This is a generalization. But if I have to clean this one up again, right, like this is the one that's true. Men who are in their 50s, who already had children, don't want more children. And if you're cutely in your 30s and they're really into you, they really know that they should tell you they could want children again. They actually could.
Maybe.
It could happen. And then somewhere around the 8th or 9th month, when it's like good and really serious, you'll discover that he really didn't mean that. Okay? So, yeah. Watch out for men in their 50s who already have children. The likelihood they really want more isn't very likely. They're closer to like signing up for a vasectomy. Okay? Okay, so that's the only real generalization I have. In regards to could a man in his 50s really be looking to have love, like travel, have someone great to be with, and really like find the love of their life, someone they could be happy with? The answer is yes. They are really looking for that woman. Not with kids, but but they really do want love. And I have many men who come to me helping them figure out how to find the right woman so that they can be with the one. And I'm moved by how much they want love. So they're safe. They're safe.
Yeah, and it also depends how newly divorced they are, right? If they're 2 minutes divorced, they really should go get laid. So watch that. And then again, some of those are serial monogamous, so you never know also. But most of them really should go play for a while if they've been, having no fun in their marriage for a really long time.
Well, I have a nickname for, like, they're ones that should go out and play. And then there's this other type, which I call a sitting duck. Okay? They're a sitting duck. And I really just coached a guy who just got divorced after 20 some odd years. And I was like, do you want to go live? Or are you a sitting duck? And he's like, what's a sitting duck? I explained. Sitting duck means that you're free, you haven't had good love in a really long time, you have kids, you're like a good worker, and you haven't had real love. And some fantastic woman finds you and just wants to love you, is not trying to have a big family with you, nothing, just wants to love, and you get picked off, and literally that's it. And we better pray she's great, because you're easy to pick off. You're a sitting duck. And he was like, don't let me be a sitting duck. He was a sitting duck. He's so happy now, and we're laughing, and I'm like, I told you were a sitting duck. So they're even looking, and even that guy, right, you'll know if he's a player, really find out, like, how does he feel? How was his marriage? What does he think about what he really wants? Like, make sure you're asking all the questions first, and that you're just like, hey, like, what are you looking for? What do you want? Don't be trying to get him. Find out who he really is, because he really might just be a fun booty call.
Awesome. All right, here's the last one.
All right.
This one's a doozy a little bit, but not because you can't answer it just because it might be long.
It's long. For you?
So I'll say, for you.
For me?
For me to read too. All right, here we go. I would like to learn to stop choosing relationships like my father and grandfather. Handsome, smart, very kind with others, but also Don Juan or cheaters. And I act like my mother and grandmother, accepting and suffering about it. Also, I react so bad, hysterical neuroses or something like this, when the man I love gets mad and doesn't talk to me. I am 51 years old and finishing a 12-year relationship, but it's hard to finish it without falling in love with another man or moving to another country. The two things I did before. Now I want to do different. How to be strong. I think she got some Don Juan in her.
That does sound a little Don Juan in the end, doesn't it?
So it's mostly how do you stop, get out of picking your dad, right, and being your mom.
The truth is, you're not getting to know the man well enough first, so you really need to keep, you can't fall for someone until you know them better. You particularly do pick a Don Juan, in which case you need to not pick a Don Juan. And then you also don't know why you pick a Don Juan. Really, people pick Don Juans because they're kind of hot, right? And they know how to pick you up, like they're smooth, right? Like, so there's probably a truth to why you fall for a Don Juan that you're not facing, and that the guy that's not a Don Juan is not as hot to you either, right? And so that you really have to rewire what's hot to you and do the work yourself. So you might want to take a little vacation from your dating career and going from one to the next. You can hear your serial monogamy, and you offered to get on a plane.
Yes,
right?
twice.
So one thing is, you can have affairs and you can have fun, and you shouldn't move in with anyone, and you should not necessarily care about monogamy as fast as you are. That could be a good answer. 2, you're not getting to know them well enough. So all those men have relationships that have failed. And if you go dig into why those relationships failed, if you can tell they were a cheater, if you could figure out, like if you even heard they cheated before, run, Forrest, run. Okay? And then you really should make a list of the traits you fall for, because you sound like you're picking the same man every time, or a variation of the same man, and the work that your problem is your picker, not the man. And you haven't figured that out yet. You're still worried. How did I pick the wrong guy every time? What color is his eyes? How suave is he? Like, why are you picking what? And start to own your dark side for what you pick. What do you think?
That was good.
That's good.
And it just turns out that you kind of pick like your mom picked.
Yes, and we really are famous for doing what our parents did. So breaking that lineage really could, like, if you stopped and told me how you fall into relationships with those type, and how well you know them and well you know their story before you start falling for them, we could figure out rules that would change your life if you kept those promises to yourself, versus that you basically do the same kind of falling and oopsie daisy each time. So I have never met a person I couldn't figure out their pattern or how to stop their pattern. And you're the one in there, like that's you in there. Why don't you figure out your pattern? As a matter of fact, just ask your friends. Interview a few people. Even interview the old men. What am I missing? They will have the very simple answers. You can figure them out yourself, and then you can make promises to someone else, a buddy, your best friend, a coach, right? Someone who can help you stop making the same mistakes. And the odds are you're really going to need to find something new to get attracted to. It's your hoo-ha that's really a bad picker.
It is. It's doing it all. All right, that's all we got. That's it. Any
Awesome.
questions?
No, we
Forget
got
any?
nothing. So let's wrap it up and ask people to send in more questions.
So anyway, we love talking about love and sex and relationships and how to forgive things in those areas. So by all means, please send in questions, juicy ones, and we will answer them right here.
Yes.